Thank you for tuning into the KickNPost YouTube channel, and thank you for tuning into our new series, Must See UFC Fights. In the first episode, we gave you guys John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. You can hit the card over here on the right to see how that unfolded, but today we'll be dropping the trilogy fight of Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, set to take place on July 2nd at UFC 276. I'd like to thank you guys for all your support. Please tune into the other videos, but let's get into this one. Welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel and our new series, Must See UFC Fights. We're here today talking about Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski, the trilogy completed, hopefully. This is a fight we want to see, and we won't have to wait too long. July 2nd, UFC 276 is going down. How you feeling today, Otto?
Yeah, I'm feeling nice. Straight at the bat, I'm going to say this. I'm calling it. Max is winning this fight.
Facts.
No questions.
For the third time in a row. Max is going to win this fight for the third time in a row. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
The first fight, it could have went either way. I understand why they would have said Volkanovski. The leg kicks were insane that fight. Second one, I thought it was hands down. Max won the first 3 rounds. Volk won the last 2. But I know it's always hard to take the belt on decision.
Not to cut you off, but that's why he shouldn't have lost the first fight, in my opinion. He didn't give a bad enough a performance to lose the belt as the champion. So that's why I give him all 3 fights. Well, all 2 fights.
Yeah. Obviously, Max is coming off injury. This fight was postponed from the card that was in Jacksonville. I'm not too sure what number it was, but Korean Zombie stepped in. Not a lot to talk about there. It's kind of just a wash of a fight.
I feel like Max should send Korean Zombie flowers for taking that fight, because he pretty much went in there, got beat for no reason, got paid decent amount, I guess. But like, he wasn't. To be honest, they should have just ran back Ortega Volkanovski. That was fireworks. Volkanovski was at least in trouble a couple times in that fight. Volkanovski just chilled. It was an easy night in the ring against Korean Zombie. At least he has stuff to worry about with Ortega.
Yeah, for real. And I think my prediction for this fight is for Max to win, but I would not be surprised if Volkanovski led with more of his ground game, which we saw flashes of against Ortega, against Korean Zombie. I think he had trouble getting Max down in stretches of their first 2 fights, but I think he'll definitely try and work that in earlier, especially with the way Max has been, boxing, best boxer in the UFC.
That's Calvin Kattar.
So, Calvin Kattar wishes.
My stance on it.
His face said otherwise.
Facts. My state on it is, a guy like Max Holloway with his boxing and his length in comparison to Volkanovski gives him a ton of trouble, right? But one thing I have to give Volkanovski credit for is his way on fighting his way in the pocket, kind of getting up close, making the fight tough for a guy like Holloway, who you'd expect to be able to keep it at range, because he does have a sizable range advantage on a guy like Volkanovski. But just a sheer determination. I'm not going to lie. Volkanovski's a strong, what class are they in? Featherweight?
Featherweight, yeah.
Yeah, strong featherweight.
The man used to walk around at like 210.
Exactly. So when he swells back up and puts on the weight, because he's not swelling up that much, but still, when he swells up after weight cut, he's a strong featherweight. So he provides trouble for a lot of people in the division. But you'd expect Max with that range and like creative striking to kind of lead these rounds a lot, but they're just, I don't know, they're like a perfect matchup. I don't think anybody's been washed in like any round really in their first 2 fights, and I feel like they bring the best out of each other. So I'm excited to see this third fight coming up July 2nd. I personally believe, again, like I said earlier, Max will take the fight for the 3rd time, but I have to say it. I don't think he gets his hand raised unless it's dominant or by TKO or by KO. If it's close, they're gonna give it to the champ. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Although Max is my favorite fighter all time, they both share the same quality, and that being the heart of a champion, the unwillingness to quit. I've seen Max beat the hell up by Dustin Poirier in that fight. His name escapes me, but the fight after Calvin Kattar, he took some shots, and I was like, wow, he should have been out. And it's just like that extra willpower that they both contain. Volkanovski against Ortega in that guillotine. That thing was tight, man. I thought
he was out cold. I thought he blacked out. Because, like, it's locked in. But
they both have the heart of the champion, and I do respect the hell out of Volkanovski, even though he gets a lot of flack for his fights being boring. But you win fights how you win fights. I think Izzy gets the same flack when he's just pointing away. As you said, reach advantage. The reach advantage really comes not with like wingspan, but it's height. Max is 5 inches taller than him. Max also has a smaller wingspan than Volk, but his height just makes it apparent that the reach doesn't really matter that much.
Go ahead. You go first.
I think Volkanovski's ability to close the distance on anybody is like insane.
So my question to you is, we've seen two versions of this fight. You said, again, first round, a lot of leg kicks. Max had to deal with that. I feel like as champ, he did enough to keep the belt. Judges thought otherwise. Second fight, we both feel like Max was dominant the first 3 rounds. Volk came on strong at the back end, was able to steal his belt defense and keep the belt in a situation where we both felt like Max earned it. And a couple fighters that tweeted after the fight agreed. What does Max have to do in this fight from a game plan standpoint to kind of rectify the issues that he seems to have with the judges? What does he have to show them to kind of take the belt off of Volk? Because I think he's fought a pretty clean fight, especially the last one, and was not rewarded by getting his belt back.
Well, I think it'll show with how he defends the takedowns, because I know this has been like super controversial over every single judge when it happens. Is some judges score takedowns very highly, some people score them with like the damage you do like regularly, or damage you do on the ground, excuse me. So if Max can stay on his feet and keep it a fist fight, I believe he's going to outstrike Volk. Just don't get taken down. You can outpoint him if you do it that way. Your output, your volume, it's going to show. Volkanovski has a great gas tank as well, but Max's precision in the later 4 and 5 rounds are evident across his entire career. So I think if he doesn't finish him, which I don't think he will, I think this fight will go the distance. I'll probably sprinkle a little bet on that. If he can do that, stay on his feet, I think he's got a good chance at a unanimous decision win. I think he's going to game plan for the kicks as well. I think he's got it.
In my opinion, I feel like Volk is going to have to do what he's been doing these first 2 fights. Don't get into an overly aggressive striking match with a guy like Max Holloway. Definitely pick your shots. He does get good shots off on Max in these first 2 fights, but work the legs, make him immobile, attack him with the takedown, attack him with heavy counter punches, get in the pocket, get it kind of messy. And honestly, if it's any type of close, he's going to keep the belt. I'm convinced that Max can't win a close decision fight with the judges. And you speak on the takedown points given. I heard something recently, like a lot of these coaches still judge it kind of like it's karate. A takedown is just so valuable. But you have to look at kind of the spectrum of the fight. Because even if there's takedowns, if it's not a valuable takedown, why are we like just pointing it because you got somebody on the mat? You know, like I understand it's a skill to be able to take somebody to the mat, but if it's not a takedown that leads to something productive, why are we giving it all these points? There's a couple fights recently on the last few cards where I literally saw a useless takedown in like the 5th round, and I'm like, yep, that's going to mean a lot going into the scoring. And it did. So what are we looking at when it comes to scoring these fights, right? So unfortunately, if Volk's just able to put him on his back a couple times, evade getting into these stand-up matches with him, I think he can retain the belt. But me, if I'm a betting man, I put my money on Max, blessed Holloway. It's time for him to come take that belt back. We rocking with you, Max.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think what you just said about scoring takedowns is completely accurate. Although in last week's card, and I'll make this really brief. In last week's card, Shevchenko got taken down, I think 3 or 4 times, and they still scored her as the winner somehow. I think it was really, really close. But she didn't do any damage on the ground. Although her control time was there was literally no damage done to Shevchenko. So we'll see how they judge it come July 2nd. Any closing thoughts for you, buddy?
UFC 276 is going to be a loaded card. Not to jump ahead, but y'all might see another video like this for another fight on this card. We're really excited. Hopefully we're able to tune in. That's my final stances. Oh, yeah, and I'll probably be making some picks on Prize Picks for these fights. Might drop that in the link as well.
And on that note, all right, y'all boys.